Hi, I'm Barry Farber, and this is Diamonds in the Rough, a show where we meet ordinary people who've achieved extraordinary success, people who have inspiring stories and an overwhelming passion for life. If you love sports, you don't want to miss tonight's guest. Nearly 20 years ago, the world's first 24-hour sports network debuted. On a credit card and a dream, this former sportscaster and his son launched what is now the worldwide leader in sports programming. ESPN founder Bill Rasmussen joins me to talk about the birth of ESPN, following his dream, and achieving the impossible. Plus, we'll show you ESPN's first minutes on air. Stay with us.
Diamonds in the Rough is brought to you by Custom Cleaner Home Dry Cleaning Kit.
That's amazing. Welcome back. We're with Bill Rasmussen, founder of ESPN and somebody who doesn't take no for an answer. And it's amazing. I'm so glad you're here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Barry.
Appreciate it. Take me back when you were sportscaster, communications director for then the Whalers, right?
The New England Whalers at that time. And as all good sports franchises do, when they have a bad season, they fire everybody. Me included, and all the people they fired never skated a minute for the team that year, but that's the way it is. That happened in May of 1978, and just before the firing, I had been scheduled as the communications director for the Whalers to go and do a TV show, not unlike what we're doing here today, talking about the Whalers, talking about good things. So I felt I owed it to the host to call him and say, guess what? I'm not with the Whalers anymore. And he said, well, come on over anyway, because I don't have any other guests. So that, I mean, I was really high on the list, as you can see. So I went over, and we never did the show. But we started talking about, why not talk about the Whalers, talk about Connecticut basketball, Yale, Wesleyan University. Maybe we could do a little thing in Connecticut and expand his idea and mine as well.
Take me back. I mean,
that's what did it. That started the idea.
The birth of ESPN, which Amazon.com, you get this book anywhere, and it's just a brilliant story from start to finish. What I'd like to know, and probably a lot of people would like to know, because sometimes when you get fired up. And
that's exactly.
Take me through how it started and how many people rejected it and thought you were crazy, and then what you had to do to get to that point.
I think maybe if I had listened and gotten money from all the people who said I was crazy, it would have worked out a little better. But no, seriously. I had children to feed. I have 2 sons and a daughter. Having no means of income is a great motivator. Also, the state of Connecticut was the last of the 48 states in the lower United States to have cable television. It was only authorized in Connecticut in 1972, and all the last year, 18 months with the Whalers, we had been working with the cable industry to try and find some common ground to televise hockey. Nobody likes new ideas. We're doing fine. Don't talk to me about that. But when I didn't have anything to do, I had nothing but time. We found United Cable in Plainville, Connecticut, had a very aggressive and forward-looking vice president. We got some space from him. And he started talking about this funny thing. He said there's something called a satellite. And we had gone to Southern New England Telephone Company and said, we want to do a distribution through Connecticut. They said, well, it'll take us 18 months to do the study. When you don't have a job, you can't wait 18 months, Barry, so you jump in and go. This fellow from United Cablevision said, satellites are the coming thing. We don't know quite how it works, but I said, Jim Dovey was his name, would you bring a group of Connecticut cable operators together and we can all talk about it? Great idea. We all got together. All this happened very quickly. This happened like 2 weeks, within 2 weeks of being fired. We all got together, and I think maybe there were 10 of them showed up, and they had about 12 different ideas about how the satellite really worked, which told us nobody had any idea how it really worked. One of them said, oh, you can buy the eastern United States for so much, you can buy New England for so much. But one of them said, why don't you call RCA Americom? And we called, and unknown to us, RCA Americom was having a difficult time unloading transponder space. They had one bird flying, SATCOM 1, 6 channels were totally unused. None of the others were used more than 4 or 5 hours a day. The salesman for RCA Americom couldn't get to Connecticut fast enough. He got there, my son Scott, we listened to all of the plans. They were all for 3 hours this and so many that. And he said, we have one we don't even put in the rate card because nobody will ever buy one. It's 24 hours a day, and it's $34,167 a month.
For it to be on 24 hours a day?
24 hours a day. My son said that can't be right. The arithmetic's wrong because it was $1,250 a night for 5 hours. He said, well, nobody ever bought one. Maybe that's why the rate's so cheap. Long story short, we said, we'll take one. And then we had to decide what to put on it. Now that we had it, because clearly the University of Connecticut and just things in Connecticut would not.
So you didn't even have an idea of doing 24-hour sports? That didn't even come up yet, just to get the network for 24 hours?
All we wanted to do was, when we found out we could get our hands on a satellite, and one thing, when you're not befuddled by facts, you don't know any better, you grab the hold of the asset and then figure out what to do with it. More people want to do studies and plans and analysis and what's going to happen 3 years from now, and the opportunity passes them by, and we wouldn't let that happen.
Well, everybody wanted to hear that story, but when we come back from the break, I want to hear the adversity and how you moved right up the ladder and went through those people who said no. And Mark Twain, your favorite quote, I'm sure, is ignorance and confidence, and then success is sure. And I'm sure.
How true.
We'll be right back with the founder of ESPN. Don't go away. This is an exciting one.